Well, hello everyone, how you doing today? This is Chef Warren Caterson and I'm at the Punta Gorda Library here to do a wonderful cooking show, or what hope will be a wonderful cooking show. This is the one that was scheduled to be done up the Englewood Charlotte Library today, but because of the quarantine, we weren't able to come down there and be with me, so I am coming to you. So hopefully we're going to do some decadent desserts today. So while you're sheltering at home, perhaps these are some little tiny things that you can make that'll bring a little bit of joy to your life, okay? So I usually don't do things like this on camera. I do live shows. I do about 190 shows a year, all the way from Florida to Boston, Detroit, and St. Louis. In fact, I was supposed to be in Boston last weekend, but as we know, that didn't happen. But I'm glad to be here with you, and I can guarantee you, of all the cooking shows you've ever seen, this will be one of them. So stick around, we'll get started here in just a minute. This is Chef Warren Caterson here at the Punta Gorda Library, and we're here to do decadent desserts. Now, I'm not a real big dessert eater, but when I make them, I want them to be good and I want them to be simple. So the desserts we're going to talk about today are desserts that you can put together in just a few moments, but because they're quick to make, they're still going to be delicious and they are going to look really good. So whether you're making for yourselves, your family, your neighbors, or when we get out of this thing and you've got to be able to have company over, or you go to a potluck, you'll be able to wow people with these wonderful, healthy desserts that you didn't have to spend hours in the kitchen, making. So decadent desserts, we're going to cover a couple of them here. And what I'm going to do, okay, because we're going to cover a number of them. You're welcome to take notes as we go along. But if you're on my mailing list, and I know we've got hundreds here in the Charlotte County, I'm going to go ahead and do an email blast of everybody on that mailing list. So even if you didn't see this show, you're going to get these recipes. That way you don't have to sit here and jot really quickly and try to get everything down. I will go ahead and send these recipes to you so that you can look in your cupboard, see what you have, and you can start to make some of these decadent desserts yourself. So before we get started, I've got a confession to make. I cheat and so can you, okay? So I don't make everything from scratch, okay? In fact, I don't know any chef, whether they're professional, celebrity chef, working in a five-star kitchen, or they're a line chef in a casual restaurant. We don't make everything from scratch anymore. We do cheat, so I'm gonna cheat here a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you why. Since my theme is cooking for two people, I'm not gonna bake my own cakes. I'm not gonna, make my own pies, okay? I'm not gonna make my own pound cakes, my angel food cakes, things like that. I will go ahead down to the grocery store and buy. Two reasons. I'm not a great baker, okay? And baking is different from cooking. Cooking is more of an art, baking is a science. You can't really experiment when you're baking. So I'm not much of a science person, I'm more of an art person. So you better keep me out of the kitchen when it's time to go ahead and bake. But the other thing too, when I'm making pies and things like that, particularly around Thanksgiving, we love our apple pie, we love our pumpkin pie. Well, to be honest with you, I would just much prefer to go down to Costco or Sam's Club or Publix and buy a pre-made pumpkin pie. They do a great job of it. I know it's going to come out better than mine. And actually, I can buy one cheaper than I can make it with the ingredients it would cost to make at home, plus I don't have the aggravation. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy my pies, I buy my cakes, because it's really hard to make a cake for two people. It's great if you're gonna serve 8, 10, a party or something, but cooking for two, I know I'm gonna have a lot of cake left over because I'm not a big sweets eater, okay? So we're gonna cheat that way. So I'm gonna make some items here with maybe some pound cake, angel food cake, things like that. But I'm gonna tell you, I didn't make it, okay? I went down and I bought it, at Publix, and it was on sale, so I picked some up, threw a couple in the freezer. So I cheat and so can you. I'm gonna also show you some other shortcuts that you can take, okay, where you don't have to make everything from scratch, but not at the sacrifice of having it taste great and having it look great. So I just kind of want to get that out of the way. So if you happen to be making one of these desserts, and someone walks in the kitchen and sees you opening a package of pound cake you got down at Publix or whatever, and they see you slicing it and they're aghast, they're astounded, going, what are you doing? Where'd you get that? Well, I got it at Publix. I thought you were a cook. What are you doing getting stuff there? I mean, are you supposed to make everything from scratch? You pride yourself on being a great cook? Well, this is really disappointing to me. And you can just turn to them and say, well, I'm cheating because Chef Warren said it's okay to cheat. Okay, and if you've got a problem with that, you can talk to Chef Warren. okay? Now, why don't you go ahead and pour a glass of wine, get out of the kitchen, let me do my business, because I know you're really going to actually enjoy this. Because the thing is, dessert's the last thing that people are going to eat. Or you've already maybe made a salad, a soup, you've made an entree, 2 sides. I know you're going to spend a lot of time making those things. The last thing you want to do is spend another hour or 2 in the kitchen making desserts. So these desserts are, like I said, are ones that you can make very, very quickly. Okay, a lot of with ingredients you may already have, and if you have to go out and get the ingredients, I guarantee you'll use them over and over and over again. So we're not going to use anything exotic or cute. Okay, so there's not going to be anything here that you have to say, oh man, I got to go over town looking for this, you know, like freeze-dried juniper berries. You're like, what the heck? You got to drive all over town looking for it. You finally find it in some obscure store downtown next to the Irish pub. You get home, you open it up, you scoop out the tablespoon you need, plop it in the pan to make your dessert. What do you do with the rest of it? Yeah, you put a twist tie around it, you put it up in the cupboard until you use it again, which is never. Okay, so we're going to use things here that you can actually use and you'll use over and over and over again. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you about for decadent desserts is the presentation. Okay, because we eat with our eyes first, so you want it to look good, because if it looks good, it's going to taste better. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about presentation, because that can make all the difference in the world from a good dessert to a great dessert. Even though the ingredients might be the same, in the presentation, it's going to taste better because it looks better. So the first thing I want to share with you, the best thing that you can do is stop serving any desserts in like white cereal bowls, you know, white cups, white plates, you know, Corelle, things like that. I know that's very convenient, but if you're going to serve desserts, I strongly encourage you to serve all your desserts in something glass, okay, because it'll look better. So kind of put those, you know, the cereal bowls, the white cereal bowls away, and please, for goodness sake, this is not the time to bring out the kids' cereal bowls, the grandkids' cereal bowls with Captain Crunch on the outside. That is not going to be good form if you're trying to impress your guests. So we're going to go with glass. So here's some of the glass items that I use. If I just need a plate to put a piece of pie on or something else, a glass plate is ideal. Okay, looks much better than just a regular white plate. Other glasses I've got on hand that are great for serving desserts, wine glasses. These are great for serving desserts. We're going to actually serve one in a wine glass here today, and it's going to look really, really good. So wine glasses are great. This is another cute little glass. All I did was raid my cupboard and just kind of see what kind of glasses that I have. This is a nice one too, you know, to put, maybe put a scoop of ice cream in, maybe put some fruit, you know, with some whipped cream or Greek yogurt on top of it. This is very nice. This glass here is great for parfaits. You know, you can put a little bit of either Greek yogurt or, you know, whipped cream at the bottom, ladle some fruit, maybe some granola or chopped nuts, and put some more whipped cream, some more fruit, kind of layer it up. Comes out very nice looking like this. Bowls like this are also great, okay, for a lot of different things. And what I'm saying is you just need to put something in glass. It's going to taste better. Even though the ingredients are the same, when it comes out, it's just going to taste better because it looks better. So we want to make sure that our presentation is up to par and it looks good. We're also going to talk about the way you can dress up desserts toward the end by just taking it one notch, one extra ingredient that's going to make it look better. We're not going to talk about that at the beginning, but toward the end, we're going to just go through a couple things that you can use on your desserts that will make them look better. And some of them are so simple, you might be saying, why didn't I think of that before? But now you don't have to, because I'm going to tell you, okay? So now the first thing we're going to do here, we're going to make a fruit sauce, okay? And I'm going to make this first because we're going to let it cool a little bit. But this is probably one of the easiest fruit sauces that you can make. And you can serve this. The nice thing about it is you can serve it on top of pound cake or angel food cake, which we're going to do here today. You can serve it on top of ice cream. You can serve it on top of pancakes, waffles. It's great for breakfast. It's healthy, okay, and it's easy to make. 3 ingredients, and it'll wow it. This is also something you can make with the kids or grandkids. You know, when I was up visiting my grandkids this past summer, they helped me make their own fruit sauce that we had on pancakes and waffles, and we had it on dessert. You can make as much of it as you want. It's made with real fruit, and it's simple enough even for 2- and 3-year-olds to do it with some parental supervision. So we're going to go ahead and start with that now. So I'm going to start out with about a cup let me see, get my cup here. About a cup of blueberries. Now the nice thing about this is that you can use blueberries, you can use strawberries, you can use raspberry, and pretty much any berry you can make with this. And you can use frozen, you can use fresh. I'm using fresh here because I was able to get it here at my local Detweiler's Market at a good price. But if you don't have it, you can go ahead and you can also use frozen fruit. So this is something that you just, if you have the fruit on hand, whether it's frozen or whether it's in the freezer, or whether you have it fresh, this is something that you can make really, really quick. So we're going to start out with about 3 tablespoons of sugar. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in my pan here. Now we're not making a lot here, so you can double, triple this recipe, whatever. And then we're going to add about a teaspoon and a half of cornstarch. And then we're going to go ahead and add about 3 tablespoons of water. And we're just going to go ahead and heat this up and just stir it and make a slurry out of it, which won't take very long. We want to make sure that the sugar dissolves, as does the cornstarch. And once it starts to simmer a little bit, like starts to bubble a little bit, we're just going to cook it for about 2 minutes longer. So this is not something that's going to take very long, and as you can see, this is something that even the little kids could do. Just make sure there's an adult around because you are working with heat here. So this is something the older ones could do. My 8-year-old grandson was an expert at this. Now it's starting to boil just a little bit, so we're going to cook it just a little bit longer here over medium heat. We've got that slurry. And now we're going to add our cup of blueberries. Just stir this around. And now we're just going to go ahead and get our potato masher here and start to mash it. You don't want to puree it because you want some of those blueberry chunks to be in there, or strawberries or raspberries. But you want to mash it enough to where the liquid from the blueberries is completely released, and then it'll start to thicken a little bit. And so our fruit sauce is done here. So we're just going to set it aside to go ahead and cool a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and make our recipes with that after it cools just a little bit, okay? So that's our sauce that we're going to make. Okay, now for those of you, like I said, that took all of maybe 5 minutes with 3 or 4 ingredients. For those of you who say, you know, I just don't have time for that. That takes too long. I just can't be bothered with it. Too much work for me. Another way to get around it is just to go ahead and pick up some fruit preserves. You can use cherry, blueberry, boysenberry, raspberry, and go ahead and pour some of this into your pan, maybe half a cup, 3/4 of a cup, depending how much you want to make. Go ahead and heat it up a little bit, and maybe add just a little bit of lemon juice, just to kind of, because this stuff is really sweet, okay? Just maybe a little bit of lemon juice, and that way in just maybe 30 or 45 seconds, you've got a great fruit sauce, okay? So you can do that with cherry preserves, not jelly, okay, but actual preserves. And if you want something a little bit smoother, you know, without the chunks of the fruit in it, you can go ahead and use just regular jam. So you can use red raspberry jam, boysenberry, blueberry, raspberry, a lot of different ones you can go ahead and use, but this way it'll even be a little bit, you know, easier to make for those of you who feel like, Caterson, man, you're wearing me out in these recipes, okay? The other one might take a couple minutes. Things like this will only take a lot shorter amount of time. Both doable. Like I said, you do want to put a little lemon or lime juice in there to kind of cut back on the sweetness. Go ahead and taste it as you're making it and get it to the desired, you know, consistency and the desired sweetness that you'd want. The other way we made it, you have a little bit more control over it. So, you know, it's not gonna be as sweet as maybe something that comes out of a jar. So that's our fruit sauce. We're gonna go back to it. And like I said, we're gonna serve this on top of pound cake, but you can do angel food cake. There's a lot of different things you can do it. And also, like I said, for breakfast, you know, for your pancakes, your waffles, it's a great, nice little fruit sauce that you can go ahead and put on it there as well. So the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you probably one of the easiest sundaes that you can make. Let me get some things out of my cooler here. We're gonna make a fruit sundae. And again, this is so easy that you can throw together very, very quickly, but it looks really nice. All we're gonna need is maybe a scoop or two of vanilla ice cream. I recommend Breyers, okay? You don't need to spend a lot of money on ice cream. Blind taste test, people really appreciate Breyers. It tastes good, very simple ingredients. I like it when it's buy one, get one. Keep one out in the freezer in the garage, one inside my other freezer. Okay, so Breyers is a good brand. And just so you know, anything that I recommend as far as brands or any kind of cookware that I use that I recommend, I don't make any money on this. I'm not getting any kickbacks. People aren't telling me, oh, could you recommend my thing or my ice cream or my tomatoes, and then we'll give you a percentage of it. I don't take any sponsorships. And if you order something that I tell you to order, like if I send you this, this link and you click on something, I don't get any money from that. I'm not an Amazon associate or anything. I'm recommending it because not only do I think it's one of the best things you can get for the money, but before I recommend it, I check with other people, my chef friends, see if there's a consensus. And then if there is, I'll check it with other third parties, like Cooks Illustrated, Consumer Reports, Bon Appetit, to kind of see if there's a consensus about it. Then if I feel that there is, I'll recommend it to my audience. The same thing with things I don't recommend, okay? So I call them both ways, but if you're looking for a good vanilla ice cream, you really can't go wrong with Breyers. So essentially what we're gonna do is just gonna take a scoop of vanilla ice cream, put it in our glass bowl, and then we're just gonna go ahead and get a can of, you can either use pears or peaches. Like I said, I cheat. You can use fresh, and I'll send you a way that you can go ahead and poach the pears so that you can use fresh pears. But what I did is I just went down and bought just some canned pears, patted them dry, and I went ahead and put my scoop of ice cream in my glass bowl and just leaned my pear up against it, so it kind of looks like that. Now, this looks nicer than just sitting in a white bowl, but we're not gonna leave it at this. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some chocolate syrup on top of it. Now again, I cheat, so can you. So I don't make my chocolate syrup from scratch anymore. I just go ahead and I go down and I buy some Hershey's chocolate syrup, so we can go and use that, or they've got the strawberry stuff too you can buy. Or you can go ahead and spring a little bit more money and go into the ice cream aisle and get the Ghirardelli chocolate, and this one happens to be caramel. You pay a little bit more, actually pay a lot more money for it, but this is nice, and they've got a little bit more variety. But for chocolate, I really can't go wrong with the Hershey's, but I don't use it directly out of this because the spout's just too big for me to go ahead and use. So what we're gonna do, and I recommend that you do if you're gonna do these great little desserts at home, is to go invest in these little squirt bottles here, okay? I picked these up for about 75 cents. You can get them at Walmart, Target, they're all there. This is great because you have a little bit more control over it. And you can even go ahead and cut the tops here to make it however you want. But this is what we're gonna do here. And so we're just gonna go ahead and take our chocolate. Let me turn this upside down so that, okay. And we're just gonna take our chocolate and just put a little bit like that on top. So now with just a little bit of extra work, one more ingredient, we've turned a very pedestrian dessert into a very nice dessert. I use chocolate here, but you can go and use the strawberry. You can go ahead and use the caramel, whatever one you want to use. However, I do recommend that you go ahead and put in one of these, have a little bit more control over it, and just go ahead and put a little kind of swirl on top of it, and then you've got something that's really nice here, okay? To take it up maybe another notch is just maybe take a little piece of mint like this, and just maybe put a little piece of mint on the side of it like that. Give it a little bit of color. Like I said, we eat with our eyes first. And so this is a great, super easy fruit sundae that you can put together in a New York minute. The only thing I would recommend when you're using any kind of glasses or plates like this for your serving is to go ahead and chill them first, okay? You chill them first, particularly if you're using something cold. It'll stay colder longer, obviously, if you put it in something that's been chilled, okay? So you want to make sure your plates are chilled if you're serving something chilled. So this is probably the easiest one that you can go ahead and do. Now, another one that you can do with fruit, and this is great too, is to go ahead and serve a grilled fruit sundae. In fact, grilled fruit is one of my favorite desserts, particularly if I'm cooking outside, because I already have my grill hot. And so instead of cooking out in the patio or out on the porch and making a nice summer meal, hamburger, steak, whatever, chicken, instead of me running back and forth to the kitchen to go ahead and get dessert, I can make my dessert right there on my grill. It's already hot, okay? So it's something that I can go ahead and make my dessert. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just grill some fruit. Now the nice thing about it, you can grill your pears, you can grill your peaches, things like that, and use it in a dessert like this. Just go ahead and cut them in half, put it to where the flesh side is down on the grill, and just grill it till you kind of get those burn marks. That's all you're looking for. You don't want to incinerate it. You don't want to cook it all the way through. And mainly it's going to look good. It's going to add a little bit of smoky flavor to it. So you can go ahead and take your half a peach, half a pear, go ahead and grill it, okay, and then put that in a bowl with the grill side up and put your ice cream next to it, and then maybe put a little bit of your sauce on top of it. That also makes a very nice presentation. But even if you're not going to serve it, with ice cream, you're just going to serve grilled fruit by itself. This is also a nice way to do it. And we're going to go ahead and do pineapple here, because that's very easy to do. So I've just got some slices of pineapple here. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and brush a little bit of olive oil or canola oil on each side. We're going to do that. I'm preheating my grill pan. Now, normally this is something I would do outside, but last time I checked with the Punta Gorda Library, they wouldn't allow me to bring my my Weber grill into the room here and go ahead and whip up some barbecue for you. So we're just going ahead and heating up our grill pan here. And just go ahead and just brush some olive oil on each side of our pineapple. And just put our pineapple on. We'll go ahead and do 2 of them. And like I said, we're not going to go ahead and cook this all the way through. We just want to go ahead and kind of get those nice grill marks. So go ahead and put this on here. Now the nice thing about doing it on your grill outside, your grill's already going to be hot. We're heating this here, so it might take a little bit of time, but we're just going to go ahead and grill our pineapples to kind of get those grill marks, and then you can either put that into a bowl or on a plate, put some ice cream in the middle of it or on the side of it. It makes for a very nice presentation. But I like grilled fruit just even by itself. So after we're done with this, I could put it on a plate and just go ahead and serve it just like that. Other fruits that are good that you can grill, I do it with peaches, like I said, pears. I do it with pears. I've done it with strawberries. I put those on a skewer, a little bit of olive oil. I put my strawberries on there, just briefly cook it to where I'm getting a few little char marks on it. Makes very nice, very nice presentation. Haven't been real successful with blueberries because I keep falling through the grate, so I kind of wrote that one off. But these other ones here, oranges are great. Just go ahead and make sure cut them pretty thick, and go ahead and grill your oranges that way. So there's a lot of ways you can do grilled fruit that looks nice and it'll be very different from what people are normally eating. I think one of my favorite and most interesting fruits to grill is watermelon. I guarantee you take some slices of watermelon, brush a little oil on it, put it on your grill or in your grill pan, okay? Just get those burn marks on it, turn it over, get the burn marks on the other side, put it on someone's plate. I guarantee they've never seen anything like that before. You have to serve it right away. The longer it sits, the mushier it'll get, but when it comes hot off the grill, it makes for a very, very nice presentation. I'm just going to go ahead and check my, probably cook just a little bit longer, but I kind of want you to get the idea of just getting those nice grill marks here. So we're going to just go ahead and finish cooking this, and then we're going to go ahead and plate it, and to show you how easy and nice it is to go ahead and plate. Like I said, this is a nice way to go ahead and do it. Another way that you can kind of dress these up a little bit, or we already brushed it with some olive oil. before you serve it. You may just want to maybe brush a little bit of rum on top of it. You know, you can use coconut rum, you can use regular rums, any kind of spiced rum. That makes for a very nice kind of flavor too, a nice taste to it too. So we're not going to do that here, because I found whenever I bring booze to these shows, for some reason it winds up disappearing before the end of the show. I don't know who's taking it, but anyway, very expensive shows when I have to start giving away my booze like that. So I'm going to leave it up to your imagination to go ahead and use your rum, your spiced rum or whatever, and go ahead and just drizzle it on top of it before you go ahead and serve it. So we're going to go ahead and check this here. A little bit longer here. And then what we're going to do here is just kind of dress it up a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of brown sugar on it. This is nice, the heavier grain brown sugar, so kind of a little bit of a bite to it. And then we're also going to dress it up a little bit with maybe a little bit of syrup to kind of give it a nice touch to it. So I think this is just about done here. We'll go just a little bit longer. We are kind of pressed for time here. So what I'm going to do is just going to take some of my little bit of strawberry syrup here, and just take it and just put a little bit on my plate like this. Now you've seen restaurants do that, so now we've got a nice little design here on our plate. And then we can go ahead and put our pineapple on top of it with a little brown sugar. And so that makes for a very nice presentation. I like the red because it's a nice contrast with either the yellow pineapple or the orange of the fruit that I'm using. But you can use whatever color that you want. And then another way we're going to add just a little bit of color to it, we're just going to add a little bit of chopped parsley or chopped mint on top. Like I said, as we go toward the end, these will be some of the hints that I'll be sharing with you. And if you want to take it a little bit further, you can put a little bit on top. But this is a nice way to take a simple piece of fruit, okay, a little bit of sugar, and go ahead and make a nice presentation in such a way that your guests probably haven't really seen it done like this before. I'm going to take this one off. Now this is really the way it should look. You know, it's got a little bit more of a grill mark to it, okay? Like I said, we want to do this quickly here, so we're moving forward. So you can serve 1 or 2 slices per person. Either way, that's going to be fine. So that's our grilled fruit sundae, okay? Now, another thing that you can do, you can go ahead and put whipped cream on some of these items. I'll send you a great recipe for whipped cream that we're going to go ahead and do. But I rarely make my whipped cream from scratch at home, even though I know it's very easy. Half a cup of whipping cream, a tablespoon of sugar, and you just beat it till it starts to peak. Very easy to make. But a lot of times I don't have heavy cream. It doesn't last a long time in my refrigerator, so I often opt for other things. One of the ones that I do is, like we're going to do here today, we're just going to use regular whipped cream out of a can. Like I said, it's easy to do, very controllable, very nice to do. But the other thing that I recommend, and this one actually gets very good reviews. In fact, in blind taste test, this whipped cream tasted very close to homemade. And you're going to laugh at this, but this is just not me talking. Consumer Reports, Cooks Illustrated would be Cool Whip extra creamy. Okay, in blind taste test, this is pretty much like the real thing. So this is generally what I use, okay? But because we're only going to make 1 or 2 things here, I'm going to use my canned. But this is generally what I use, with one caveat. Okay, this really does taste good. I know it's processed and all that, but we're looking for speed, we're looking for flavor. This is a great way to go. But I guarantee, if you're going to use something like Cool Whip, and you go ahead and put your cake out there, or whatever you baked, or whatever your ice cream, or whatever you're making, and you go ahead and take a spoon and put a dollop on there, everybody's going to know that you just put some Cool Whip on top of it. It looks like Cool Whip, okay? You're not going to fool anybody, all right? But we want to use it because it does taste good, it's affordable, and it'll last for a while in your freezer or refrigerator. So here's what I do. I just don't put a dollop on top of it. What I do is I get out a hefty Ziploc bag, a sandwich-sized bag, or maybe a quart-sized bag, and I go ahead and I spoon my Cool Whip into that plastic bag, and then I snip the corner off of it. Now I've got a homemade pastry bag. So what I do is I just hold my bag over whatever I'm going to put the Cool Whip on top of it, squeeze it. It comes out that little corner on the end, and I can make designs with it. I can just make it nice with a nice peak on the top of it, so it doesn't look like I went ahead and just scooped this and plopped it on there. Doing it like this makes you look like a cheapskate. I'm frugal. My friends call me cheapskate. I like the word frugal. So by putting it in a little bag like this, it looks like you're using homemade out of a pastry bag, and you don't even need to go out and buy a pastry bag. If you have one, use it. I don't have one since I don't bake that much, so I just use my baggies, clip the end off of it, and I use that to go ahead and make it. You'll fool everybody, okay? And it's gonna taste absolutely wonderful. But like I said, this is what I go with, but make sure you get the extra creamy. That's the one that's gonna taste the closest to real whipped cream, is the extra creamy. So, but if you wanna make it from scratch, I'll go ahead and send you the recipe for that as well. So now let's go ahead and I'll show you, now that our recipe is cooled here for a little bit, we're going to go ahead and just use it on top of pound cake. All right, now here's the nice thing about pound cake. You can get it anywhere. This is good on angel food cake, just pretty much any cake. So we're just going to go ahead and put this here and stir it up just a little bit. And just put some on top. Now, normally I wouldn't be serving it on a plate like this. I'd be serving it in a bowl. So let's go ahead and put it in a bowl. So we've got our bowl here. And we just put a little bit of dollop of whipped cream on top. I'm telling you folks, it doesn't get any easier than this. It looks good. You controlled all the ingredients. There's no really preservatives in it except what we had in the whipped cream. Very easy to make, and like I said, this is something you can put together with the kids or grandkids. It makes for a very nice presentation, and you can change it up. So tonight we're having blueberries. Next week we'll have raspberries. The next week after that we'll have strawberries. So you can kind of just run the gamut of it like that and go ahead and make a very nice, fruit sauce over cake. And like I said, this sauce, as I said earlier, is great on pancakes. It's great on waffles, anything like that for breakfast. Now, another nice thing that I like to do, we're not going to do it here, but if you kind of want to take this up to another level, when you're getting ready to go ahead and get your pound cake ready, or even your angel food cake, oftentimes what I'll do if I have time in my hands is get out my grill pan like this, go ahead and heat it up, and I'll just go ahead and add my pound cake or my angel food cake right on top of my hot grill pan. Just cook it long enough to go ahead and get nice little sear marks here. Turn it over, get nice little sear marks here. It's going to caramelize some of the sugar that's inside this sweet cake. Then you put it on the plate. Not only is it going to look good just like that, it's going to taste good. One extra little thing that you can do that look very different from what people normally see when they go out to eat and get their desserts in a restaurant. Normally this is when I'd say any questions right here, but since you all are home, I guess you can phone it in. Operators are waiting. Just go ahead, if you got a question, go ahead and phone it in, and I'll be doing my best to go ahead and answer it. Now, this next one here is also very easy to make. This is chilled mixed fruit and white wine. Now, I'm just going to tell you how to do it because this takes about an hour or so in the refrigerator. Very easy to do is I just go ahead and just chop up some fresh fruit. You can do maybe 2 cups of mixed fresh fruit. By that I'm talking about, maybe some cantaloupe, maybe some honeydew, some pineapple, some grapes, some strawberries, blueberries, about 2 cups. You can do it from scratch, buy your fruit and go ahead and cut it up into kind of bite-sized pieces. A lot of times I'll just go ahead and buy the canister of the mixed fruit that you can get over in the produce department if I'm really pressed for time. They usually come in pretty good sized chunks, so I'll go ahead and cut those down to smaller chunks. And I'll just go ahead and take those 2 cups of fresh fruit that I cut up or went ahead and bought, and would go ahead and put it in a bowl with some white wine, about maybe, I don't know, 1.5 cups of white wine, 1/4 cup maybe of white wine. Just going to put it in there and just go ahead and let it sit. Maybe chop up a little bit of mint, put some mint in there, maybe 1.5 teaspoons of mint, or you can use dried. You can use 1/2 teaspoon of dried. Just go ahead and kind of stir that up, put it in the refrigerator, and just go ahead and let that sit for about an hour or so to chill and let the flavors kind of meld. And then go ahead and spoon that out into a nice little cup like this. Okay, just go ahead and spoon that out into a nice little cup like this. And then maybe if you're using fresh mint, you have some fresh mint left over, it's really nice to go ahead and take that mint leaf like this, similar to what we did on our sundae over here, and just put a piece of fresh mint in it. So you've got this nice little, very fresh, very refreshing dessert that you were able to go ahead and make with whatever fruit or items that you happen to have on hand. Very nice to make, and like I said, it's the nice thing about it is you can use whatever fruits and fruits that you have on hand. I've even made it with fruit I bought in a jar. Okay, not quite as good because it's not quite as firm as the fresh fruit, but if you're pushed for time, you're like, boy, I'd really like to serve this really hot outside and I'd love to serve this, I like the idea, go ahead and drain it really well and pat that fruit really dry and go ahead and follow the recipe as well. So you can go ahead and make this, it'll come out pretty good. Not quite as using fresh, but it comes out pretty good. I've done it in a pinch. So that's a nice way to go ahead and make a fresh fruit and white wine. The wine I like to use is I like to use a Sauvignon Blanc. It's not too oaky or it's not too sweet. Okay, that's pretty much my go-to wine whenever I'm cooking in the kitchen is a Sauvignon Blanc. You don't want to go with something, maybe a Chardonnay, it's too oaky, but maybe another sweet wine. So you can use a Pinot Grigio, you can use one of the sweeter wines that way. Use something that you like to drink and something you have on hand, but I always have Sauvignon Blanc on hand. What I usually do is I go down to Trader Joe's and I get the Trader Joe's $2 Chuck Sauvignon Blanc. It's like $2.99. Or you can go down to Walmart, pick up their oak leaf vineyards, like $2.50 a bottle. Inexpensive but drinkable because we're using it primarily in cooking applications. Don't at all ever use cooking wine, particularly for desserts. Okay, and in fact, I never want you to use cooking wine in the kitchen, and that's the stuff you find near the salad dressings and the olive oils. It comes in red, it comes in white, sherry, Madeira, a lot of different ones. The reason I don't recommend using that is because you can't drink it. So why put some in your food, and particularly on your dessert, that you can't drink? Not that it's against the law. The reason you can't drink it, it tastes horrible. And the reason it tastes horrible, get this, they load it full of salt. So if you're looking to cut back on your salt intake, cooking with wine, using cooking wine defeats the whole purpose. And the reason they put salt in it makes it a food product, not an alcohol product. That's why grocery stores that can't sell beer or wine, like up north where I do a lot of shows, the grocery stores can't sell beer or wine, they can sell cooking wine. There's as much alcohol per volume in that as there is in regular wine. So leave that stuff at the grocery store. If you have it, go ahead and throw it out. Just get some inexpensive white wine or red wine to cook with or use in your desserts. You and your guests will be much, much happier that way, okay? Now this next dessert we're gonna make, this is a great dessert to make for those of us who grew up with the Good Humor Man. Now I grew up in New York, we had the Good Humor Man. He wore a white outfit, it was a really cool outfit. A lot of us want to grow up to be a Good Humor Man because he looked kind of like a soldier dressed in white. Had a cool truck, he had a sash, he had that little change thing that we all just fell in love with, and we would go and get creamsicles from the Good Humor Man. So anyone that grew up either with the Good Humor Man or at the grocery store with whoever your ice cream vendor was driving down the street and you had creamsicles, then this is the dessert for you. This is a blueberries and an orange cream sauce. And again, it's very quick to make. So we're just going to go ahead and start out with about 3 tablespoons or so of cream cheese that's been softened in our blender. About 3 tablespoons of milk. And about 3 tablespoons or so, or about 1/3 of a cup of defrosted concentrated orange juice. Okay, so that's what we're going to put in. Now, the other thing I like to put in, I don't have it with me here, is like an orange liqueur, like a Grand Marnier, Curacao, any of that. I like the Grand Marnier, just maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons in there to kind of take it up another notch. And I guarantee it'll be one of the better desserts your friends have ever had. They're going to want to get seconds if it got that Grand Marnier in it. So essentially that's what we have there. We've got 3 ounces of cream cheese, maybe 1/3 of a cup of milk and 1/3 a cup of orange juice. And then we just go ahead and blend this. go. Even smells like a creamsicle. And what we're gonna do is just take some of our blueberries here, and you can do this with strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. I really like it with blueberries. If you're doing with strawberries, you do want to cut them up a little bit. We're just going to go ahead and put our blueberries. This goes nice in a wine glass. Let's put some blueberries in there. And then we pour our orange cream sauce on top. Now this is where a glass really makes a difference. And just put a couple of the blueberries right on top here. And then finish it with maybe some chopped mint or chopped parsley. Again, not so much for the flavor, but because it kind of gives it some color. So here we've got a really nice presentation that looks really great in a glass. A couple of ingredients, a little bit of fruit, put in a glass, bring this out to someone's table. And like I said, for those of us who grew up with creamsicles, you really can't go wrong with that, okay? And if you want, like I said, instead of putting the parsley on top of it, you can put a little squirt of whipped cream on top of it. You can put a little squirt of Greek yogurt on top of it. Kind of leave it up to you, but this just comes very nice, coming out just like this. And again, if you have a little bit of your leaf left over, you just stick a little leaf in it on the side like that. Again, we eat with our eyes first and bring that out, and just people go at it. It makes a very, very wonderful, healthy dessert. Like I said, put a little bit of Grand Marnier in there, kind of give it a bite. You're gonna love it, your guests are gonna love it. So, let's go ahead and recap just a little bit what we did here. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and send you these recipes, but the important thing is, as you saw me do in a number of different recipes here, is just add a little bit of something to the end to kind of give it a little bit of oomph, okay? So I'm just gonna share with you some of the things that I use on a regular basis. You probably already have a lot of these, and some of them you may not have thought about doing before, but let me tell you, it really does a nice thing. We talked about taking the chocolate or the strawberry syrup or any other kind of syrup like this. It's great to put on the plate before you serve it. It's great to put it on top of whatever you do it before you serve it. But like I said, you want to make sure you have something like this that you can get a little bit more control over, because the nozzles on most of these are going to be too big. You know, it's not going to come out very nice. It's going to come out a little bit too wide. But it's nice to be able to maybe put a couple of swirls going this way on the plate. Then you put your dessert on, you put your swirls going this way, so you kind of have a little going in different directions on your dessert. Is a nice way to do it. But don't settle just for caramel, chocolate. Some other things that you can use is oftentimes I'll go ahead and use balsamic vinegar, a good balsamic vinegar, or even better yet, a balsamic vinegar glaze. Okay, this is a little bit thicker. This is a nice contrast to sweet fruit. So maybe instead of using something as sweet as the chocolate or the strawberry or one of the other fruit sauces, I'll just go ahead and drizzle this. Again, I'll put it inside one of these because this nozzle's not going to be big enough. I have a little bit more control, and I go ahead and drizzle my either balsamic vinegar on top of my desserts or my balsamic glaze. Comes out very nice that way. Another thing that a lot of people don't think about, and I guarantee it tastes wonderful and your guests are going to love it, is extra virgin olive oil. You get a nice bottle of extra virgin olive oil. This might be one of those times when you go down to the specialty store and invest some money into olive oil that you're only going to use for this purpose. But I find just getting a good grocery store brand like this Bertolli, rated very high by Cooks Illustrated, or California Olive Ranch, also rated very high, very fruity. Go ahead and put some of that olive oil in your little container like this and go ahead and drizzle that on top of your ice cream. Let me tell you, no one's had ice cream, I guarantee it, with a little bit of olive oil on top of it. Take it up to another level, kind of give your mouth a little bit of a party. After you put your olive oil on top of your ice cream, get some sea salt or kosher salt and put some of that on top of your ice cream or on top of your fruit. Again, it's going to be a flavor most people aren't expecting. I know some people like to put, salt on things like watermelon, but we're not talking about getting the salt shaker. You want to do something bigger grains like sea salt or kosher salt where the grains are bigger so they kind of crack when people chew into it. We're not salting it so much as giving a little bit of a surprise of a salt flavor by putting that on some of our ice cream and some of our other desserts like that. So be sure to go ahead and just give it a shot, okay? It's going to taste different, but it's not going to taste bad. In fact, it's going to taste very good. So make sure you try the balsamic vinegar and the olive oil. Very, very nice. Again, we talked about the other sauces you can put on. If you want to use something different than this, you can go ahead and get some jam or jelly. Put some jelly and mix it up. Maybe put a little bit of water in it to make it a little bit more, a little bit looser, and put whatever jelly you want inside your container like this. And this way you've got a lot of different things you can do. And just go ahead and put your thin jelly on top of your fruits and desserts that way. That way you can use peach, you can use strawberry, blueberry, blackberry. There's no seeds in it, so you get a nice even pour out of it. So you can go ahead and use jelly that way. Brown sugar we talked about. You know, the heavier brown sugar, go ahead and sprinkle that on top of your desserts. Again, give it a little bit of sweetness. We don't want to overpower it, but we want to get that bite. So when they chew into it, they get that all of a sudden that little pop of sugar flavor. So you want to make sure you add this to the end of it, particularly if you're doing something that's a warm dessert, like maybe your grilled fruit that comes out warm. You want to put this on just before you serve it to where the grains are intact. It doesn't have a chance to really dissolve on top of the fruit. Sprinkles. I do it. I use sprinkles, so you can go ahead and get some chocolate sprinkles, okay? And sometimes I'll go ahead and put some sprinkles on there, just a little bit different. Sometimes I'll take my olive oil, put my olive oil on top of there, and instead of using salt, I use my little chocolate sprinkles. Just make sure they're chocolate, folks. Don't get the multicolored ones, because that looks cheap, okay? At least with the little chocolate ones, you can kind of get away with it, but you can start getting those multicolored ones. It looks like you had them left over from the grandkids' birthday party. You couldn't be bothered to do anything looking nice, so you went out and did something really cheap like that. But the chocolate ones you can kind of get by with, so that's okay to go ahead and do. Another one people don't think about, this is great on desserts, is a good shredded cheese, a good grated cheese, okay? So Parmesan cheese does great on desserts. Not the stuff in the green cans. I'm talking about real Parmesan cheese, preferably one that you can grate yourself on a microplaner. So you're serving a dessert, pretty much any of the desserts we made here today. If you're not using whipped cream or something like that, go ahead and grate a little bit of Parmesan cheese or another really good flavored cheese on top of it. That is going to add a flavor that most people aren't expecting. And Parmesan cheese really improves the taste of just about anything it touches because it's high in natural glutamates, which give us what scientists call the fifth taste. It'll wake up the flavor in the other food it comes in contact with. So even if you're just serving a bowl of fruit, go ahead and just grate some Parmesan cheese on top of it. It's going to add a nice little, white covering to it, but it's also going to make it taste absolutely wonderful. So don't forget to go ahead and use your cheese. We talked about chopped parsley, chopped mint. Not so much for the flavor, although the mint will give it some flavor, primarily because it's going to add a little bit of contrast to the dish, particularly if you've got something that is white, is yellow, it's orange. Go ahead and put some of that green on top of it. Again, it'll make it look really nice. And if you're doing it on maybe a plate like that, or in a bowl that's big enough, it's nice when you go ahead and sprinkle it, not to just sprinkle it on top of the food itself, sprinkle along the edges so you've got these little white flecks. Preferably use fresh, but when I'm in a pinch, I'll go ahead and use dried, because like I said, I'm using it more for the color, okay, more for the contrast. So if that all you have is dried mint, dried parsley, we're only talking about a little bit of flakes, we're not coating it. So we kind of get that contrast, okay, that we're looking for. So don't be afraid to go ahead and use that. To add another kind of mouthfeel to what we're doing, put something crunchy onto your desserts. And we've all kind of seen that in a parfait where there might be some granola in there, but feel free to go ahead and put some crunchy things on top of your sundaes, on top of your grilled fruits, pretty much any of the things that we talked about making here, even our blueberry thing here at the very end, sprinkle something crunchy on the top. That way we kind of get a multitude of different textures in the desserts that we're eating. So some of the ones that I like to use, I've always got some granola on hand. Nature Valley keeps almost forever. Okay, just go ahead and just sprinkle some of that on top of your desserts. Again, particularly on ice cream, it's kind of nice to kind of get that other texture in your mouth. I guess that's one of the reasons I really enjoy things like butter pecan and chocolate chip, because I like to bite into my ice cream. I like that little bit of a surprise, something hard I can chew on. So go ahead and use your granola for that. I've used crushed cookies. got 1 or 2 cookies left over. I'll just go and crunch some of those cookies up, whatever cookies I've got. It could be chocolate chip cookies, could be butterscotch, whatever cookies you have, go ahead and crumble those up and sprinkle on top of your desserts. It's another nice way to do it. Pretty much anything you've got. Nuts, great way to add some crunch. Pecan chips, walnut chips, peanut chips, even salted. That's even kind of nice because that salt, just kind of we talked about putting the salt on top of ice cream and all, kind of adds another dimension to it. So go ahead and do that. You don't have to buy them pre-made like this. It's easier for me to go ahead and haul around here when I'm doing shows, but at home I just buy them whole or pieces. I put them in a plastic Ziploc bag and I get out my meat tenderizer and I just pound a little bit and make my own little bits and pieces like that. But this is also a nice way to go ahead and add some, a nice texture to it. Another nice thing for your desserts is get some dried fruit, like apricots, peaches, things like that. Put some dried fruit and go ahead and just simmer that in a little bit of booze. Okay, you can use rum, you can use tequila, whatever. I like rum. Just go ahead and simmer it to kind of rehydrates that fruit, and chop some of that fruit up after it rehydrates a little bit in that booze, and go ahead and sprinkle that on top. It's not going to give the crunch, but it's going to have some texture to it that you can go ahead and use. So we look at a number of different ways here that you can make really good looking desserts really fast that taste great. Okay, and we're cheating. We cheat. One last thing I want to share before we cheat. Before we go another way that I cheat. We talked about making our fruit sauce here, which we did. It comes out very nice like this. We put it on top of this. But another way I like to go ahead and serve it, and again, is I go ahead and buy these ready crust, graham cracker crust, okay? You find these, where they sell the baking things like this. That thing comes in 6 or 8 in a package. So if I'm serving a table full of people or 6 or 8 people, I'll go ahead and just get these little crust here, the graham cracker crust, and I'll take that fruit that I made, that fruit sauce, put it in here with a dollop of whipped cream on top of it, or vanilla, Greek yogurt on top of it, and I gently take these out of the aluminum. If you can, go ahead and do that and set that into a small bowl like this one or this one with the fruit in the middle of it and the topping on top of it. People go nuts because they think I made these. They're like, I've spent like the afternoon in the kitchen making all these individual little graham cracker pie crusts. This is nice because everybody gets their individual serving. You're not having to make a big pie and then cut it up, which can be messy. This way you can put whatever kind of filling in, whatever kind of filling you want to make with your homemade fruit sauce, or again, just go ahead and heat up some cherry preserves, blueberry preserves, and put a little bit of that in top of this, and then put your whipped cream, or your vanilla Greek yogurt on top of it. Make sure if you're using the fresh to go ahead and use your plastic bag, and you've just cheated your way into a really nice, elegant dessert. A lot of people haven't seen these, okay? So when they look at it, they're actually gonna think, wow, you did this? I can't believe you spent that much time in the kitchen. I mean, Caterson, did you really make this? Of course, I say, yeah, most of it. You can do that too. I cheat, so can you. Well, I hope some of this was fun for you here today. I know we went very quick, but I wanted to share a number of different ways that you can make these decadent desserts. Like I said, I will go ahead and send this to you via email on my mailing list if you're on my email mailing list. If you're not, you can go ahead and contact me at warren@chefwarrencaterson.com. That's Warren at Chef Warren Caterson, that's Caterson, and say, I saw your little presentation, I'm not on your mailing list, would you send me the recipes? We'll make sure you get them, because that way you'll have these ready now when you're eating in and you want to make a little bit of nice treat for yourself, but also when we get out of this mess, when people come over to eat, you'll be able to feed them some wonderful desserts that you won't spend hours in the kitchen making. They'll be pleased, you'll be pleased, and I guarantee their palates will be pleased. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully we get out of this again. I'll be back down here doing my live shows. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. God bless.